We're going to go over the 5 components of video marketing. And what we're going to do is talk about these 5 things are the most, in my opinion, the most critical things to consider when getting going in video marketing. And they're really not that complicated. It's really simple. I think most people make a mountain out of an anthill. It's not that complex, and it shouldn't be that intimidating. So what we're going to cover is the 5 considerations of video marketing, which is content, equipment, editing, and distribution. I'm hoping that we're done here in about 20 minutes. Don't want to keep you all day, and we're going to go over these things. If you have any questions and you're in the webinar, put them in the chat section. If you're on Facebook, put them into the group, and I will go ahead and answer them after I'm done because I'm sharing, and I only have my laptop, so I don't see things until I stop sharing. Anyways, if you're listening to this live and you're on Facebook, give a couple hearts and put L in the comments if you're listening live. If you're watching the replay, put an R in the comments. So the desired result of this webinar is the end goal of this webinar is to help you bring clarity to what it takes to properly create a video marketing strategy. Once set, simply follow the daily, weekly, monthly rhythms and reap the rewards. Well, there's a typo. Ready, set, go. Number 1 is content. So this is the hardest part, the creative. What is the content? What are we going to be putting out there? And what I find that holds people back is there's 3 things: some sort of fear, knowledge, or they think they don't have time. They really do. It's just not properly organized and prioritized. So when I'm talking to people about content, we're talking about subjects and interests and informational things. The only wrong way to do video is by not doing video. Let me say that again. The only wrong way to do video is by not doing it. So it doesn't matter what the subject is, what your interests is, what your informational shtick might be. Do something and you will attract that audience. So when we're taking a look at content, when I'm consulting with folks, I say, what are your interests? Because when you're doing something that you love to do, that positive energy just flows through the camera. It just flows through your work. So you're going to be interested in doing it. You're going to have fun doing it. What is popular in your area? Some places, I was on a call this morning with some folks in Pittsburgh, and they said, oh, we put fries on everything, and there's pierogies everywhere, right? Because that's their culture over there. So I said, great, let's find out who's got the best pierogies, right? What's popular in your area? That's so important because that's going to attract not only the people that are moving there, but also the people that are there and build that audience and following. And ultimately, that's the goal. What is missing, you can fill the void of. Watch other people from around the country. What are they doing that your area might not have? Or take a look at your area and say, you know what we don't have? We need this. And always be thinking, what is happening in your community? That's a big one, man. Do you follow what's happening at the town hall and the building department? Do you know what was just approved? Be the first person to come out and talk about that before the newspapers, before anybody else. Be in the know, because people like people who are intelligent, who are trustworthy. And when you can bring that kind of information forward, you stand out. The next thing we need to consider is the equipment. And it's not that complicated as you might think. A lot of people get all carried away. They're like, oh, I got to go get myself a Nikon B46800 3621 because it was just released, or I got to go get that new Canon digital monstrosity, whatever. Man, everybody we work with uses their mobile phones. Your mobile phone, especially the iPhone 12, can shoot ridiculously great footage. The 10 can as well, but the 12 is better. And even the Droid devices, they shoot fantastic. You don't need to shoot in anything other than 1080. You shoot in 4K, you're just going to waste memory because, well, it's social media. 1080 is fine. You can mess around and play, with your settings and do 60 frames per second if you want, versus 30. I think 35 is the standard. So it's going to give it a different feel. It does use more memory, so you're going to want to get those things off your phone as quick as possible. But you can do so much with your phone. So that's the camera, right? The mics. Mic is important. What you see there in that picture is a Rode Micro Mini. Those are cool if you're in a controlled environment where there's no echo and you're going to be semi-close. But really having some wireless mics, which we'll show in a second, is great, and a stabilizer of some sort. So let's take a look at that. Our partners all use their cell phones. They shoot in landscape mode. Try shooting 60 frames per second. 1080 is fine. No need for 4K. Audio is the key. I'm going to say that loudly for the people in the back. Audio is the key to good video. We can do and work with messed up video, overlays and B-roll footage and cutaways and all sorts of stuff we can do with that. Bad audio is hard to fix, if next to impossible, with the level of editing we're going to get out there or the systems that we use. But bad audio will ruin your video. We have had to turn away at Explore My Town videos because the audio we just couldn't work with it. We just couldn't work with it. It was that bad. So audio is key. What you see there are the Movo WMX-1 mics. That's what I use. I've never had a problem with them. They work great, carry extra batteries. You're going to need them. Get 2 transmitters. Make sure you get the 2 transmitter packs. So if you do an interview, you got one for a friend. And you don't have to kind of give them yours. Learn how they work before shooting. So use them around the house. Make a few test videos and stuff like that, because the first time I used them, I didn't do it correctly and I had to troubleshoot it, which means I had to read the directions, and then it worked perfectly fine. But you don't want to be out there the first video trying to figure these things out. Also, if you're using an iPhone, make sure that you're getting the adapter. You need that little dongle adapter for, the wonderful iPhone jack. So make sure you have that little adapter. You can get that from the Apple's. Make sure it's Apple too, only Apple certified products. And make sure you play around with that. And always do an audio check when recording. Before we start, I say, all right, let me run, check 1, 2, 1, 2. I unplug the adapter. I press play on the video, unmute it, and I make sure that I have audio. I plug it back in and we go. Real simple. I use a switch pod. I absolutely love and adore it. I was turned on to it from a friend of mine. Love it. It's made out of some sort of metal, aluminum, I don't know. But the thing is solid. It opens, it closes, so I can close that entire thing up and hold it in my hand, or I can set it up like a tripod like that. Do not hold the phone in your hand because it will be shaky. You can get away with it a little bit on the iPhone 12 because it has self-stabilization in it, but you're still going to be really close. So this at least gives you that extension of your arm plus another 2 feet. So that, to me, that's perfect. Plus, when you're using the camera front face where you're doing a tour, you can really get right in there. It's really cool. I do love the Switch Pod because it's fast and easy and on the go. Tripods are also great for solo recordings. And if you're brand new, I would suggest a tripod first. That way you can set the tripod up and do a couple test runs anywhere your heart desires. Park, downtown, anywhere. There's some great Amazon deals on Amazon where they have it all folds up and you still have it in a hand. So it almost works like that, like the Switch Pod, but the Switch Pod's ergonomically correct. So that's why I like that one. Then there's the smooths and the other kind of mechanical type stabilizers. I have one. I used it 3 times. I thought it was bulky. I couldn't figure it out. I needed a PhD to figure it out. And then I was turned on to the Switch Pod, and the Smooth 4 has been collecting dust ever since. The next thing, number 3, that we need to take into consideration when we're doing video marketing is, so we had the content. All right, great. I'm going to make these videos. All right, I got the equipment so I can make those videos. So now I'm armed with that. You shoot the video, now you got to edit it. And this is where the money's made. The money's made in editing. You can take a bunch of raw footage with mess ups and everything, bloopers and all sorts of, birds flying in front of you, and you can edit it and get all those things out of there and make a fantastic piece of content. And that's what makes the average video great. So when we're looking at editing, who's going to be editing? Will you be doing the editing? Do you know how to do the editing? Do you, are you going to learn how to do it? When will you schedule it? Because it takes a good 2, 3, 4 hours to edit a video. What system will you use? Are you going to use an online system like WeVideo? You're going to use something like that is, the Cadillac, which is Adobe Premiere. I mean, that's a bear. Premiere Pro, it's a bear to learn. You're going to use something like After, whatever, the Final Cut Pro, so there's dozens of them that you can use. But which one are you going to use? And how about third parties? Is there a third party that you're going to use to do the editing? Are you going to go on Fiverr every time and try to find somebody? I found that didn't work. You're always trying to explain it. And by the time I got done explaining what I wanted to somebody, I could have just edited the video. I know how to edit. I could have just done the editing myself. So finding a good qualified third party that understands your needs, that is a viable option for sure. So you're going to edit it with system, when you're going to schedule it, or third parties. How are you going to get that video edited? And again, these are all considerations that you need to take into consideration when building a strategy. One doesn't just pick up the camera and start recording. You got to map it all out, just like you do with your lead generation and everything else. You need to have a plan for when you're doing what and how you're doing it and all those great things. The next piece that we need to take into consideration in our video marketing strategy, or when we're building a video marketing strategy, is distribution. Where are you going to distribute this video? What social channels? Are you going to, use one aspect ratio? You're going to use different aspect ratios, because IG in-stream is different than IGTV for all intents and purposes. If you want it to look right, you got to use 1:1 in the in-stream to make it look right. IGTV, best for 9:16. Same with stories and reels. If you're doing LinkedIn or Facebook, you use 1:1. That's going to look perfectly fine. If you're doing YouTube, 16:9 is best. It does accept 1:1, but it ends up not looking the same. It doesn't fill the screen as much. It doesn't change like it does on Facebook. So what aspect ratios are right on the different platforms that you're going to use. Now on digital, right? So that was social. On digital, how's it going to be seen on Google and YouTube? Though to me, that's the most powerful, is Google and YouTube. So what's your strategy there for Google and YouTube? How's it going to be found? Are you going to run Google ads? Are you going to run video ads and they're going to show up on YouTube? Are you going to, maybe you're going to write a blog where will it go? But you can write a blog and then all of a sudden, it can be spidered in such a way, if you would, when the spiders come out and they crawl your website, now all of a sudden you get keywords in there and everything. Are you going to put it, when you put it out on YouTube, are you going to optimize the headline and everything? I really do think you should. And do you do a weekly newsletter? Are you going to get it distributed that way? One of our partners, Keith, does a fantastic training on newsletters and how he averages $3 million a year in sales, which is $90,000 in gross commission income, for an argument's sake. And how will your sphere of influence see this? Your sphere. I love when people call it a sphere. Your sphere of influence. How will your sphere of influence see it? How are you going to deliver that to them? Is it going to be through the newsletter? Is it going to be some other way? How are you going to get your sphere of influence to see this wonderful video you're doing? Are you going to You're going to put it on a blog? How are you going to get out there in YouTube? How are you going to get out there in Google? These are all things you've got to take into consideration, because it does not work if you just post. It doesn't. If you're not taking the steps to do thumbnails and end cards and optimized headlines and keywords inside of your description and things like that, it's just going to go by the wayside. That's why when you look at all these pages and they got like 8 subscribers and 6 views, that's why they didn't do anything to try to play with the algorithms. So you got to think, how do I play with the algorithm? So this all sounds complicated, but it's very easy once you figure out this is what we do on Facebook, this is what we do on Instagram, this is what we do on YouTube, this is what we do on LinkedIn, this is what we do on Pinterest, right? This is what we do on TikTok. Once you know, and this is good practice beyond this video, this is great practice for anybody. But how will your sphere of influence see this? The money is made, in my opinion, in retention. This is really where somebody worth their gold comes in. How do you ensure the video does not fade away like all the others? Because that's what happens on social media. If you don't catch the algorithm, bye-bye you go, right down the chute. So social really is kind of a pay-to-play game. How do you ensure that your video will continue to grow and receive engagement? What about ads and retargeting? Who will manage them? If you take a look at the picture here and look at the bottom, there was 1.6 thousand views on that particular video. You notice that the audience is growing and growing and growing, right? So in the videos are being seen more and more and more 4,000, and these are multiple minute views. If I really want to cheat, now I'll go to the next column over and say 3-second views, which I do think that's cheating. I don't even like that column. That just means somebody saw 3 seconds of it. Then maybe they stopped on it as they were scrolling, they kept going. That's not a good hit to me. A good indicator is the one to the left, which is multiple minutes watched. So 4,000, 3.7, 3.1, 2.9, 2.7. That's a lot of videos being, a lot of hours being watched for a quick video, for a quick local video, and you're branded all over it. Keith told me the other day that 6 hours, they're averaging 6 hours of watch per day on their channel. 6 hours on their Facebook page. 6 hours per day is ridiculous. That's pretty good. Seeing that there's all these big numbers out there, but if you could have 6 hours of video consumed with your brand all over it, you think that would be valuable at all? I can tell you, Keith does the video newsletter. I mentioned him earlier. He's all about video, and his business shows. His business shows. What are some of the results, though? This is Brookings, Oregon. Have you? I never heard of Brookings, Oregon until I met Marie, and now all of a sudden, this video, she's ecstatic about it. It's a little south coastal town before you hit California. Real cool population, like 14,000. Real cool place. And 5.3, 5.3 thousand views. She's ecstatic about that. I know that that's going to continue to increase and grow, and I think that's pretty good. But look at the numbers below: 254 shares. Well, actually, it's 255 because we have to take Mr. Houston into account there. And then 152 shares. Now, she sent me this 3 or 4 days ago, so I'm sure this might have gone up a couple, but still 152 shares. How many videos are you putting out that gets 152 shares throughout your community? 255 engagements. I mean, that is a great show. Eileen is another person. She's over in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Her business is up 200% since she started to do videos and work with Explore My Town. Last month, she did 3.6 million, and she put it on the contract. She did 3 million in her whole first year, 2 years or 3 years ago. She's known throughout the town. She tells me all the time. She goes, "Oh, I walked into this place and somebody was like, 'Hey, I see you on those videos.'" So it works, and works in Hershey, Pennsylvania, works in Brookings, Oregon, works in Charleston, South Carolina, works in Florida, works in Strongsville, Ohio. It works everywhere. The only thing that doesn't work is not doing it. If you do it, it works. If you don't do it, it don't. That's as simple as that. So we're winding down now, and I just want to give you the summary of the 5 components of video marketing. Number 1 is content. What are you going to, and use Trello, lay it all out. What are you going to do your videos on? Are you going to do a series? You're going to have multiple things going on. What is going to be your thing? Because if you don't know, it's just going to be slop. It's going to be slop. It's still going to be better than not doing something, but having organization is the key to success no matter what the endeavor is. What equipment you're going to use. You don't need much. Start with the basic equipment. Keith, who does professional level stuff down in Charleston, uses 2 Droid phones. That's what he uses, 2 Droid phones. He doesn't, nothing crazy. 2 Droid phones. He's got the switch pod. He's got a tripod or 2. So he's got the right equipment. He's got multiple different mic setups if he needs them, but he's got the Movo wireless as well. Editing. How are you going to get the video editing? What are you going to do? Are you doing it? Distribution. How are you going to get it out there to be seen? You can have the best video in the world, but if you don't know how to get it distributed, it's just going to sit there on your laptop. And finally, retention. How are you going to retain the people to keep coming back? How are you going to ensure that that awesome video that you're doing continues to get eyes on it over and over and over again? So that's it. If you want to learn more, if you want to learn how to edit video, we go over 4 videos in the course, maybe 5 videos in the course, and we use a mobile device as well. Everything is online that we show, easy to use, nothing complex. Go to learnhowtoeditvideo.com. Learnhowtoeditvideo.com. If you want to learn more about what Explore My Town does and how we can help you, go to partnerwithmytown.com. And we offer area exclusivity. So when we work with you, we're only working with you. We'll make sure that you look like a superstar on video, a professional, and that you stand out like nobody else does. If I can help in any way, don't hesitate to reach out. My name is Johnny Mo. Go to partnerwithmytown.com. Peace out, everybody. Have a good day.